In the news tonight, a major agreement signed in Barbados between the Venezuelan government and the opposition. 2 transport board buses collide, resulting in a mass casualty accident. The Road Traffic Act being amended so some garages can provide services offered by the Barbados Licensing Authority. And in sports, a second major upset at the World Cup with an historic win for the Dutch over South Africa.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Broom. Thank you for tuning in. In our top story tonight, Barbados and some members of the international community have been successful in getting Venezuela's government and opposition to sign a partial agreement. This pact will pave the way for a smoother electoral and political process, a requirement for lifting sanctions now impacting that country's economy. The other countries which helped broker the deal include Mexico, Norway, and Russia. Acting Foreign Minister Jerome Walcott says the conclusion of these negotiations has major significance for the people of Venezuela, but also for all Caribbean states.
The conclusion of these negotiations and what they portend has major significance, not only for the people of Venezuela, but also for all Caribbean states, where there is recognition of the Caribbean Sea as a zone of peace. This is a message that Barbados and its regional neighbors have been repeating in all regional and international fora, and that it is never too late for dialogue. Venezuela has always been helpful to the Caribbean whenever energy crises have loomed, from the San Jose Accord in the 1980s to the Petro-Caribe Energy Initiative in 2005. Venezuela has been to support us. Now that the process has been concluded, and Venezuela moves towards regaining its economic independence, we are looking forward in the very near future to a Petro-Caribe II arrangement.
A collision involving 2 electric transport board buses around 9 this morning resulted in 61 injured people and triggered a mass casualty response. Crystal Hoyt has that story.
A vehicular accident involving 2 transport board electric buses traveling in opposite directions along Lower Carlton Road, St. James, has resulted in a mass casualty event.
Presently, we have the police on scene, BDF, ambulance personnel. We have Dr. Bayer in charge of the ambulance service. We also have the roving response team, DEM, to name a few.
Over 60 people were injured. 19 patients were transported to QEH by ambulance, including one of the drivers. 8 people were referred from the scene to the polyclinic. 7 sought private medical attention, and 27 were treated on the scene. One passenger recounted what happened.
Our driver started to blow the horn profusely. Like, you could recognize that the other bus was a little off the path. And everything just unraveled so quickly, but when the impact occurred, it was almost like an explosion, like the glass shattered instantaneously, and that is what also caused a lot of the injuries that people have, like there are cuts in people's head. There's a young lady that has one under her eye, some got others in their face. There's an elderly man similar to me that was thrown from his seat. He was started to panic a lot, like right after impact. Instantaneous tears, and obviously then seeing the blood and the different cuts on a lot of them, they started to freak out and they were very, very panicky. Everybody just wanted to get out of the bus because honestly we thought the bus was going to explode. It started to make these funny sounds and it started to smoke profusely. We swear, obviously, it's an electric bus. First thought everybody has is this bus can blow up. So that's why you see, like, there's so many broken windows that everybody just took the emergency things and brought them out because you couldn't get the doors open initially because the bus shut down. And it's unfortunate because obviously the windows don't open, so there's no say, well, we can open and jump out. So we had to break the windows to get out.
CEO of the Transport Board, Fabian Wharton, responded to this particular concern.
Maybe we should do some more education as it relates to what you do in these circumstances. Maybe highlight the labourers a little more. So in retrospect, it might be something now that this has occurred that we need to look at. We might have been thinking that it's adequate, but maybe we have to look back at it.
The Transport Board CEO also said his heart goes out to the injured and their families. Investigations into the incident are ongoing. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Government has amended the road traffic bill, allowing approved garages to provide some of the services offered by the Barbados Licensing Authority, or BLA. The move will also help reduce the backlog at the BLA. In leading off debate on the amendment bill, Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw says discussions have already been held with interested parties. Ms. Bradshaw, who is the Minister of Transport, Works and Water Resources, says government is in the process of modernizing the BLA, a move Barbadians have been requesting. She says approved garages will, however, have to interact with the licensing authority, notifying it of services undertaken.
Coming out of the discussions with the Automobile Association and the private dealers in particular, it was recommended that the private motor vehicles that are 10 years or older, as well as used commercial vehicles, should be examined by authorized private garages, whereas the Barbados Licensing Authority would continue to inspect and to examine other vehicles. Now, under the current legislation, the only entity that can actually carry out this type of inspection by law is actually the Barbados Licensing Authority. But what the amendment this morning seeks to do is to allow for the inclusion now of a definition in the road traffic bill to allow us to define an approved garage. In this case, the approved garage would be a garage which is approved by the minister.
Ms. Bradshaw provided an update on the planned electric vehicle registration system, noting legislation is coming soon.
It is with CPC. We've been back and forth with the ministry and CPC to fine-tune, again, further amendments in terms of certainly the Road Traffic Act. But I am happy that there has been a certain level of compliance by the general public in visiting a number of the centers, the EVR centers across the island. At first people were a bit concerned about, there's no law in place, so why are we going to do it? But I had the opportunity with the Honourable Member for St. Andrew recently to visit a number of the EVR centers and to see firsthand that, first of all, the process doesn't take very long.
In his contribution to the debate, Senior Minister in the Prime Minister's office, Dr. William Duguid, welcomed the introduction of C-plates for commercial vehicles. Dr. Duguid, who first proposed the C-plate while he served as Minister of Transport, saluted the present minister for bringing it to reality.
It's taken almost 4 years to get from the time we brought the legislation to now actually seeing members with C-plates and vehicles with C-plates. And to be clear, the reason that commercial plates were done is because we have to be able to recognize that there are some people that use their vehicles for commercial uses and not for private. So therefore their insurance, their registration, all the necessary things concomitant with having a vehicle on the roads must apply. So this is why C-plates were important, and I'm happy that at long last, we're able to see the implementation of the commercial plates in Barbados.
The use of technology in Barbados's Road Works program was also highlighted. Making the point was Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Transport, Works and Water Resources, Dr. Rommel Springer. He says this is evident in the ongoing road works in the island's Scotland district.
We are not only working against the clock, even as we struggle to put measures in place to address our deteriorating infrastructure in road spaces, we are working against the clock. But we're also working in an environment where climate change is a reality. We have a situation where we have a conspiracy of events happening all at the same time that are resulting, these events are resulting in the rapid deterioration, rapid destruction of our roads, our bridges. Even in some cases, we're seeing some of our houses being impacted by these events.
Coming up after the break, we'll tell you about a concern from government about costly delays in the justice system. Barbados is concerned about the extra costs being paid out to accused due to delays in the justice system. The issue was raised by Attorney General Dale Marshall at the launch of the PACE Criminal Justice Reform Project. Mr. Marshall says an inefficient criminal justice system can rapidly become ineffective.
We've now increased the size of our judiciary and a whole set of other things. But we now have to add to that the fact that the judiciary has not been hesitant in awarding damages to accused persons whose trials have been delayed for so long that those persons' rights to a fair trial are found to have been breached. Thus, despite Barbados increasing the number of criminal court judges fourfold, despite the increasing of the size of the establishment in the office of the DPP and other departments in order to increase the rates of prosecution, the state now has to add to those already heavy fiscal burdens the burden of meting out a different kind of justice to the accused.
The PACE project is being implemented by UNDP Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean with funding from the delegation of the European Union. It will focus on reducing case backlogs in the criminal justice system by enhancing a range of institutional capacities across the Caribbean.
Some of the areas that we will be focusing on include the deployment of hardware and software, interventions on procedural reforms, and alignment of information management systems. This is about ensuring that every individual has fair and equal access to the legal system. It's also about improving the system so that it is not just efficient, but perceived as fair and just by everyone.
Well, we return now to the signing agreements between Venezuela and its opposition, just to bring you some more context to this story. Now, the agreement follows on from a process started through a memorandum of understanding that was signed on the 13th of August 2021 in Mexico City. Opposition Representative Guardo Blyde told those at the LESC he was happy that the process started 2 years ago was now complete. He and the members of his delegation believe it protects certain electoral freedoms, such as the voters' lists, whereby Venezuelans living abroad can vote, and there is media access for all opposition parties. He thanked Barbados for its role in the process. The representative of the Maduro government, Jorge Rodriguez, says it's a first step against the sanctions over the country. He added it would also create a climate of tolerance in the country and bring an end to the protests. The parties also signed a partial agreement for the protection of the vital interests of the nation with the purpose of preserving the assets of the Republic abroad, as well as defending Venezuelan territorial integrity and national sovereignty. The Anglican bishop, the Right Reverend Michael Maxwell, wants more young people to join the church army. He says it's not solely for seniors and encouraged young people to join. The church army celebrated its 92nd anniversary with a service at the Cathedral Church of St. Michael and All Angels. Reverend Maxwell says the church army's battle is about sharing the good news of God's salvation to one and all.
It is one that is for all ages, but which would also mean that, of course, and I was very pleased while processing in this evening to see a little one next to maybe her mother or grandmother. And it is time that we start back doing that. When we have our battalion meetings, when we have our deanery meetings, and even as we do this evening, where we invite the young ones to come and be a part, and they will recognize that, hey, I enjoy fellowship within this church army service.
The Business Report, brought to you by the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, a department of the Ministry of Youth and Community Empowerment, supporting young entrepreneurs from idea to enterprise.
Week's Yes Business, we're hearing young entrepreneurs should be getting more opportunities to showcase and hopefully sell their goods and services. Sharika Griffith has those details.
More than 24 young entrepreneurs recently got the chance to interact with the public, get feedback on their products and services, and make some money. The occasion was the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme's Youth Expo and Talent Show held at Sky Mall. The displays included everything from clothing and skincare products to arts and crafts. Minister of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment, Charles Griffith, has pledged the ministry will continue to provide these types of opportunities for the young entrepreneurs.
All of us are fully aware that it is impossible for government to provide employment for every single young person on island. Hence, what we're doing through my ministry is to try as much as possible to promote entrepreneurship as a viable option for our young people. And as you move around these booths that are on display this evening, you will see creativity at a level that you probably would not be able to see normally. One of the things that I recognize in relation to the persons who are displaying here this evening is that there's not an avenue similar to this one for them on a regular basis to display the skills and the services that they have to offer. And I want to salute all of them for what they're doing. One of the things that I will guarantee is that through the ministry, through YES, we will have satellite locations across this country where we promote entrepreneurship at every single level. We will do it in sports, we will do it in the summer camps. Every single project that is happening within the ministry must have this component embedded in it so that our young people can see what is happening.
The minister urged the young business people on hand to consider expanding their operations beyond Barbados.
We cannot see Barbados as the only place for you to ply your trade. It must be a case now where we must look within the region and even outside of the region in terms of expansion. We will continue to do what is necessary as a government to ensure that success is the hallmark of everything that is happening in the youth entrepreneurship scheme.
During the event, a number of young entertainers, including competitors from the ministry's Beige to the World competition, got a chance to show off their talents.
Mighty hands of the Almighty, be forward in this generation, triumphantly. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, redemption songs.
For the first time, the Psychiatric Hospital's Mental Health Department also mounted a booth as the ministry seeks to ensure young people are well equipped to cope with the challenges of today. The audience was also treated to a fashion show featuring locally designed clothing. Sharika Griffith for the YES Business Report.
The Barbados National Standards Institution, now 50 years, has restructured, and its 2023 to 2026 work program is poised to stimulate economic growth. Director Hayden Rhyme, speaking at the BNSI Visibility Summit, said this is expected to be achieved through facilitating strategic quality solutions for Barbados.
We are tasked with developing what they call the country's national quality infrastructure. It's known as NQI for short. And it's a difficult task because although many businesses take high quality of goods and high quality of services seriously, there's still the need for many to embrace quality as a competitive strategy and apply a quality mindset to all activities. So we're on the road, but we're still a way to go where Barbados and Barbadian businesses and Barbadian citizens really embrace what we call a quality culture.
Let's head straight back over to the sports studio now. Mark, some football news?
As promised, the Barbados men have lost back-to-back fixtures to the Dominican Republic as their dismal run in the ongoing CONCACAF Nations League continued last night. Now, after losing 5-0 to the DR at home on Friday, Barbados have now lost in the return away game 5-2. Thierry Gale scored both goals for Barbados through penalties. The fixture was to be played at Mocha 85 Stadium, but it was delayed by 2 hours and the venue switched to Estadio Ceballo as a result of heavy rains. We have highlights.
Another great ball in. It's on the doorstep for Hope. Great save by Valdez. Kept alive. It's a penalty. Thierry Gale steps up for Barbados. And he scores for Barbados. Alba trying to turn inside the penalty area. He does so. 3 challenges. He rides and he scores. Stands over this. He'll take it as well. And it is dangerous. It's in. It's a thumping header by Dorny Romero, who just keeps on scoring in the group stage for the Dominican Republic. Morshell, a little give and go with Romero. Out wide from Mello. Mello's first time ball in is to Romero. Oh, it's a brilliant header. Spreads towards Lopez. Vasquez picks up the pieces. Ball is sent in. Oh, it's bundled by the goalkeeper and it's gone in. Morshell makes it 4-1. Barbados look to try to get one back here. Oh, another penalty appeal comes in. Oh, and it's given. It's a penalty. It's Gale again. He scores again. He goes to the opposite side that he went in the first half. Same result. Gale has a brace.
As the push continues to put our indigenous sport of road tennis on the global stage, Sports Minister Charles Griffith says his ministry is at an advanced stage in the establishment of a local governing body to manage the sport. Minister Griffith was speaking at the recent finals of the Barbados Road Tennis Open at the Wildy Gym, where he also revealed that in the pipeline is an international tournament slated for next year.
We have started the process of putting together the International Road Tennis Federation that will be housed right here on island. We have identified 3 directors to be part of the process. The constitution is already in place. We're looking to register the trademark. Road tennis is traveling. Next year, when you come to this location, there's every possibility that there will be an international flavor to our road tennis finals, because we're exploring the possibility of having members from several countries who have expressed an interest in road tennis to be here playing in an international competition. We're trying to get the dates and timing right next year, but that is on the cards for our road tennis.
With the sport of drafts seriously needing a revitalization to attract more interests and participation in the game, national player Jack Francis believes he and former undisputed world champion Ronald Suki King have the influence to aid in such development. Francis and King recently returned to the island after dominating the Scottish Grand Prix, and Francis wants more people to be able to follow in their footsteps.
People in Barbados are hungry to see competitive drafts, and it is my view that right now drafts is a bit too low profiled. It needs rejuvenated and it needs rekindling. I think in a sense the drafts is dying. The two of us have the right medicine to bring it back to shore.
Well, that's our newscast for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good night.